My name's Catherine Kirkland, and I'm a painter who works in acrylic, on canvas, and occasionally on panel. I have always been a creative person. Ever since I was very little, I loved art. So when I got into schooling in high school, I took every art class that I could take, and then eventually majored in art in college, studio art. So I got to do a lot of different forms of art, sculpture, painting, illustration, and worked in a lot of different media. So enjoyed that very much. After school, I worked in a lot of creative industries and took continuing education classes to continue to learn new things, new media, video, production, photography, a different kind of sculpture, different kinds of painting and airbrush and other media. So I've always liked learning and expanding on what I learn in creative ways. I landed on painting when I took a course at Johnson County Community College in 2010 and had to do a color theory class. So we were working in watercolor, and I went, oh, I remember, this is so much fun. So I went back or I went out and invested in some paints and had to relearn acrylic painting because the paints had changed so much since I had been in college the first go around. And so I enjoyed that very much and started feeling more confident. I started with very little canvases, and now I'm working really large canvases. So I've been painting since about 2013 in acrylic on canvas, and just continue to evolve it and learn more about the medium. I have 4 collections now that I work in. One is space and it's pointillism. Another is a Zorn palette, so it's a very limited palette. I've very much challenged my color mixing skills with that. I love hard edge abstract, so I'm very influenced by some mid-20th century abstract artists in that. And then I also do representational work, which is harkening back to my training in school with landscapes and people and pets and a lot of different things. So a wide variety of things just to kind of keep me interested, and if I have to step away from the dotting, I can go work on something else that's not quite as taxing, we'll say. The pointillist pieces take many months. I figure I have invested between 300 and 500 hours in the pieces, depending on how big they are. One I just completed is called 100,000 Stars, and I estimate there's close to 200,000 dots that I've applied. It's a 48 by 48 canvas. And so layers of dots. I started that one in October last year and just finished it up within the month. I find it to be kind of zen. So even though people go, oh, I couldn't do that, oh, give it a try, because you kind of get focused in on kind of a repetitive motion. And it's actually, sort of soothing and calming. So I'd recommend giving it a try. And it does challenge you in terms of color, what colors you layer on and how you can use the dots to create modeling and change the color perception in the viewer's eyes by layering certain colors over others. It's a very fascinating technique of painting. You have to kind of step away after a couple of hours for a couple of reasons I find, which is you just have to step away. But then I also forget where the wet paint is on the canvas and I'm working flat. And so if I go over here and go, oh, and find that I've smeared a whole bunch of dots, I may say a few bad words and I have to go back and clean it up and then redot it. So, you know, I know that when I get to the point where I've worked all over the canvas that I really need to take a break and make sure that I don't have to rework something. I keep sketchbooks everywhere, and I love going to museums or galleries and just looking at other people's work and think, oh, you know, I love their color, or I love their technique, or I want to explore that. So I find inspiration with other artists, but I have books. I like I said, I have sketchbooks where if something is, you know, comes in my head, I'll just write a little note about it, or I'll sketch a little thumbnail out. And I do go back to my sketchbooks when I'm just kind of staring at that blank canvas going, now what am I going to do? So I find inspiration in lots of ways. I mean, everybody says, oh, I can't do that, I can't. Well, of course you can. You just have to keep at it until you say, oh, I've conquered this, and then, you know, challenge yourself to learn more. And then the other thing that I think is real important as a professional artist is to learn how to organize your work and manage it and track it. If you're going to be in multiple shows, make sure you understand what pieces are going where. Make sure you understand what the delivery and pickup dates are, because those are different than the show dates. So that you don't make yourself look bad by overcommitting a piece or double booking a piece. You just have to be a little bit smart. I use, again, this comes from my production management career. I use a Gantt chart to map all of my pieces, and then I also have it to map all the shows. So I've got kind of the big picture, and then I've got the individual piece picture where I know where all the pieces are going and when. So even though everybody maybe doesn't know how to work with a Gantt chart, you can map it out in a grid, and Excel works great, or any spreadsheet app, or paper and pencil, you know, but it just makes you more professional, and it certainly takes the stress off of, oh, where did that piece go? So be organized and then challenge yourself. I was a graphic artist and an art director professionally for many years. So I picked up a lot of skills along the way: project management, print production, product production. So it was just kind of a natural extension to design products using my artwork. So I have an online store that is through a company called Threadless. These, though, I produce. I create greeting cards and note cards with my artwork on them. You can get them through me. But Threadless also produces these wonderful products, from skateboards and drawstring bags to apparel and shoes. And so it's pretty fun to see my artwork on other products as well. So it's just kind of a brand extension, we'll call it. So art isn't just about putting paint on canvas, it's really about how else can I create once and distribute many, which is sort of a buzzword in the print production community. So. And one of the things that I'm pretty proud of with working with Threadless is that I collaborated with a gentleman named Felipe Roberson, who is a capoeira instructor, which is a Brazilian martial art, that I met through the lofts. And he and I collaborated on designing. He selected all the designs for a group of mugs on my online store, and 50% of the profits gets donated to a local organization called Stop Trafficking Project that help educate young people, minors, on the dangers of being recruited into trafficking. And so I'm real happy to support that organization, because not only do they go into schools and talk with young people, but they also rescue. So, and then kind of help people rebuild their lives. I mean, it truly is a remarkable organization. And the Lofts, where I met Felipe, is a apartment, a multi-purpose building in the new Lenexa City Center. And the developer of the Lofts saw my work at the Lenexa City Hall Gallery and purchased a good deal of them. And then I worked with him to also put prints throughout the development. So it was a wonderful thing. And then on top of that, I met Felipe and developed this other. So, you know, connections lead you in all kinds of wonderful ways, I think. So that's what I do, and that's what keeps me busy in retirement. So.